Yeah. I know, hiccups are hard. Yeah, hiccups are hard, I know. I know. I know. Yeah, hiccups are so hard for all of us. None of us want the hiccups, it's true. Yeah. I know, sweetheart. I know. Oh. Yes, yes, yes. Morning. Hey, everybody. We have the hiccups. Yes, we do. Yeah. Yeah, we have little feetsies and little hiccupsies. It's okay. The hiccups won't last forever. They can't. They can't last forever, sweet girl. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's just temporary hiccups. Yeah. It's just temporary. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll cough them out, or we'll pat them out. That's right. Morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Hello, hello, everyone. We were trying to get rid of our hiccups. She just got hiccups right at the beginning of the live, so she just started them. I know, she's got her little feetsies out. No, it doesn't sound creepy at all. Everybody's been saying it's locked. You're literally not the first one and not the only one. I guess it was already open. I always open this thinking that it's not going to be open, and then I realize that my husband has already opened it, and so I don't have to put the tab on because he used it already, which is great. We love to see it. I also love baby feet. I think they're adorable and kissable and biteable. Gentle bites, of course. No teeth. I guess gnawable is a better. I know, hiccups are hard, my angel. I'm sorry, sweet girl. I'm so sorry you got the hickey-uppies. It's hard. Yeah, loving the baby is normal. Yeah, we all love it. She's wearing a shirt right now from Aunt Catherine. That's, well, a shirt, a onesie. My sister bought me a shirt that says, okay, but first coffee. And she got her a matching onesie that says, okay, but first milk. You know what? We tried that, Roxy. It helps a little bit for toots, but it doesn't really help for hiccups. She does look big today. She is big. She's a tall girl. She's a tall girl. But first milk, huh? But first milk. But first coffee, but first milk. Yeah. Yeah. We match. I'm not wearing mine right now. I'm wearing baby spit up chic. Yes. Milk is always a priority. Coffee too, though. Mommy needs coffee. Mommy needs coffee. Mommy needs coffee. Mommy needs coffee. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mommy needs coffee. Mommy needs coffee. Mommy needs coffee. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Baby spit up is the new black. It sure is. Baby spit up is the new rainbow. Toes, toes, toes. Toes, toes, toes. Why? What is it? Do you see this? Wait, what is happening? It's just like sticking out, straight up. Unacceptable. Oh, are they gone? Are they gone? You're tickling your foot. Oh. They're not gone. Spoiler alert. And baby spit up gives you wings. That's funny. Alright, let's make coffee for Dada. Woo! Oh, perfect pour. It's been a long time since I've had a perfect pour. Look at that. Wow. Wow. A hair halo in the sun. I'll tell you what. That was a good one, you guys. Ellen pointed out the other day that we both had rainbow babies. It's true. We both have rainbow babies. It's true. And we love them, huh? Yeah. We love our rainbow babies. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's put the milks away. Let's do it. Hello, Ray. How are you? How have you been? How are the lovebirds? Did you see my wrong answers for your slime baby? I haven't gone through them yet. You know what? Yesterday was so crazy, you guys. I was gonna do a slime live yesterday, but then like she was going through some stuff and Secret Husband had meetings till 6:30, so I did baby duty and I packed orders. That's all I got done yesterday. But I packed grab bag orders, so I answered a few emails, I packed grab bag orders, and I made the baby survive. I think it's a successful day. What do you think? I think that we can call that a success. Yeah, we can call that a success. Yeah. Trying to be productive, that's right. I got a whole bin of orders packed. Can you believe that? Crazy morning, yeah. Here too, Liz, here too. Gold star for me. Did you see that? Roxy gave us a gold star. Mommy loves getting a gold star. Every day you have baby survive at camp. That's right. They're good. Girlfriend was sick from school, so camp's been a little sad. You know what he should do? Oh, she was back today. I was gonna say he should bring her a Get Well card. I bet she would love that. Yeah. Had to be nice to the TV fixer this morning. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah. Morning, Gigi. 3 teeth at once? Brutal. Is she still breastfeeding? Oh my gosh. I'm scared of the day that she's got teeth. I really am, you guys. I'm scared of teeth. Speaking of which, my mother is here. My mother had, what was it? Was it Catherine that bit you? Did Catherine bite you? Who bit you, Mom? Someone bit Mom during breastfeeding. Yeah. I think it might have been Catherine. I gotta tell you guys, my sister was a biter. Not just during breastfeeding. I did it first. I bit you. I'm sorry, Mom. I apologize. I apologize. I did not mean to bite you. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna sit down very carefully. Very carefully. We're gonna put the phone on the tripod very carefully. Very carefully. Well, laughter is the best medicine, Mom. Laughter is the best medicine. She has 11 teeth total. Yikes. Yikes. You laughed after you bit your mom. How rude. I don't think I laughed after I bit her. I think I just laughed in general. Neither bit you. You're lucky, Gigi. You're lucky, because apparently I bit my mom. I bit you and laughed about it for 4 straight months. I'm a brutal, brutal woman. I'm a brutal, brutal child. Coffee. Well, I'm sorry, Mother. Oh, at 4 months of age, not 4 months. So that's funnier. Imagine that it was 4 months. Yeah.
4 long months of laughing. No, I misread it, Liz. It's not her, it's me. Yeah. Probably getting a reaction. Yeah, probably. That's true. Good morning, Isabella. Babies grow so fast. I know. I will miss them. I will miss the noises, Tiffany. Yeah, I read 4 months. It was at 4 months, Liz. That's my bad. Autumn only bites if she falls asleep. Fair. Why are you awake? You really need sleep, honey. You really do. You need at least another hour and a half of sleep right now. Right now. Yeah, you do. You need it. You have not had a lot of sleep. You need more. Maybe mommy reading will make you fall asleep. What do you think? We had a little bit of a rough night. We had much shorter sleeps and much longer wake windows last night. She is 1 month almost to the day. She said, I'm wide awake just for you. That's right. She's just going through a little bit of a growth spurt and it's uncomfy. Yeah. Mommy's sorry. Mommy's sorry it's so uncomfy. Oh, are we sleeping? Oh, good. Well, thank you, Desiree. That's so sweet. Liz, can you do me a favor? Can you, I know it's true, Liz, can you text me what time it is right now? So when I log her sleep later, I have the correct start time. Do you have connections with the Tooth Fairy? Oh yeah, definitely I have connections with the Tooth Fairy. When I was Lola's nanny, the Tooth Fairy gave her glitter money. That's true. Yeah. Okay, sleepy time. Should we sing a sleepy song? What song do you want to sing? Do you want to sing When You Wish Upon a Star, makes no difference who you are, anything. Okay, I think we got it. Yeah, that's what I've been doing, Sloth. I've been trying to do that. Can you get my son's Tooth Fairy in line? Yeah, we could talk to them. That's funny. I like that. We need to talk to the Tooth Fairy. What is your son's Tooth Fairy doing? What's going on? Okay. Let's read. We're on chapter 40, you guys. 88%. Can you believe that? Yes. I also can be a fairy. Yes, Liz has tested this theory and it worked. It works. Yeah. I was the iPad fairy for Liz to her son in a voicemail so that she could get her point across to him, and it worked, I think. Or he believed it anyway, whether it worked or not. These Kindles make me want one, but physical copies. So here's the thing, Sarah. I'm totally with you. The baby is asleep, yes. I like all different kinds of coffee. So with the Kindle thing, I fought it for a really long time. Liz will even tell you, my sister will tell you, I fought it for years. I also like physical copies. If I read a book like this book that we're reading right now that I absolutely adore, Two Bottom Teeth Are Up and Zero Lost. Oh, yes. So if I really love a book, I'll get a physical copy for the shelf. But reading stuff on here, it's like, it's so, yeah, everyone can join book club, Jazzy. So reading stuff on the Kindle, first of all, allows you to have more books with you at one time. You wish you bought a box one instead of your Kindle? For this one specifically? Yeah, I didn't purchase this one. This is a library book, which allows me to then purchase the book later if I want to. We are on chapter 40 today, and if you need to, that's right, it does have a dictionary all times too. If you need to catch up, the rest of the chapters are on my YouTube for you to listen to if you would like. So anyway, I just like the ease of how easy it is to carry this around, and you can highlight exactly, you can save things. A box is a company of e-readers. Oh, what's different about it, Gigi? I've never heard of that one. But I just like the ease of it. You know what I mean? Like when I go on a trip or wherever, you don't have to carry a ton of books with you. You also don't have to, like, I don't know. It just, I like it. And I didn't think I would. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I was gonna hate it because I hate reading on my phone, but this is different. It's good. It is good. The other one's more versatile. It makes it easier for, I've heard that a lot, Roxy, that people with different visual-based reading issues, both like how they see, but also dyslexia and those types of things, they all have an easier time with this type of thing. I do too, Avery. I do too. I didn't think I would. You guys know, you were here. A lot of you book club folk were here. I fought it, but you know, I'll definitely, yeah, definitely, Gigi, I'll check it out. All right, let's read chapter 40. Again, we are at 88% in the book, chapter 40, or page 460. What was the last book we read? Physical Tale? Yes, Tale of Magic, we read Physical. Me too, Roxy. Tale of Magic, I think, is the last thing we read. Oh no, we read that one book. Remember the that book of essays, the Millennial Girl one? And maybe Paris Hilton's memoir, right? Didn't we read those, Physical? I think. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure we did, because I have a physical copy of Paris's memoir. But like I said, if a book's really good, I'm gonna buy the physical copy anyway, you know, just to have like my little shelf trophy. Yeah. All right, let's read chapter 40 and see what happens with these witches. When she got to the top of the hill, she blew her trumpet both loud and shrill, a spell to shout, requiring daring and day-old meadowsweet. Interesting. The sky is the milky blue of old China, and the wind whips from everywhere at once, as if the ceiling has been lifted off the world to let in a draft. The city feels brand new, scoured clean. Hi, sweet girl. You need to sleep. You need sleep. You really do, honey. Oh, that's amazing, Liz. Congratulations. Exactly, Naisa. As long as it's a good one. If it's not a good one, no thanks. If Agnes Amaranth must burn, at least this is a good day for it. Her feet are bare and cold on the cobbled streets, and her hair flies long and loose around her face. Her sisters walk one behind and one ahead of her. She can almost pretend they're girls again, clambering up the mountainside, following the crow-feathered tangle of Juniper's hair. Except instead of calico and cotton, they wear rough woven wool with ashen X's painted across their chests. Instead of laughing and shrieking, they're silent. Their jaws are locked tight in their iron cages, and instead of the soft shush of leaves and the sing-songing of the creek water, they're surrounded by the clank and grate of their own chains and the fevered hissing of a crowd. Hello. You are so awake. You are so awake. You're gonna regret this later. Yeah. I know you want to hear the book, but you should sleep. You really should. I love you. I kiss your nose. Okay, let's sleep. Let's take a sleep. Yeah. Let's take a sleep. Yeah. Yeah, let's take a little sleepy moment. But you're amazing at your job, Liz. Better than most. And you do other people's work for them, too. Agnes has never seen such a large crowd. It's as if every building in New Salem has been upended and shaken until its occupants fell out and swarmed into the street. Can you believe that, sweet girl? There are working men with their sleeves rolled high and clerks with their derby hats tilted back. High society ladies are in fur-lined cloaks beside leering drunks with spit-veined noses. Entire families are sprawled on checkered picnic blankets, and all of them have come to watch the witches burn. Their eyes are bright and empty, shining like wet stones in their skulls. Their shadows pool like oil behind them, vicious and misshapen. But not every eye is empty, and not every shadow is twisted. Scattered through the crowd, Agnes finds other faces. The Demonovich girls standing with their mother, vast and blonde, Annie standing in a cluster of girls from the mill, Ona, the raw-boned girl, glaring among them, Frankie Black and Florence Pearl and 6 other women from Salem Sin, Rose Winslow beside the Hull sisters, Gertrude the Dakota girl, and Lacey the nurse from Charity Hospital. Inez is there, disguised by a heavy cloak and a white wig, holding so tight to Jenny Lind that the two of them look like a single creature. Oop. A dozen other women are freed from the deeps. Their eyes are dark and their lips are curled, waiting. The sisters of Avalon, who were not their sisters in truth, but who still came when they were called. And so had others. Agnes sees the rank of disreputable-looking young men that she remembers from the working man, looking entirely too eager for mayhem. There are knots of brown-skinned women standing together, wearing long cloaks and grim expressions. Cleopatra Quinn is beside her mother, her eyes like a pair of lit torches as she looks at Bella, and even a few ladies from the Women's Association are there. Miss Caddy Stone stands behind Jenny Lind, her jaw lifted. More, far more than Agnes dared to hope, and they're all here for Eve. And here for more than Eve. Here because they're tired of stolen children and missing women, of creeping and hiding, of raids and arrests, because none of them is strong enough to face Gideon Hill alone. So they did not come alone. Annie Flynn catches Agnes's eye and bows her head once, a soldier to her general. One witch to another, she slants her eyes sideway at someone else, and Agnes sees who it is, Mr. August Lee. He wears a cap pulled low over the blonde bird's nest of his hair and a red scarf wrapped under his chin. His eyes blaze at her as if he can see the witch mark daubed on her chest or the iron muzzle over her face, as if she's just a queen ascending her throne rather than a convict marching to her death. He holds a silver flask in one hand and something bundled tight in the crook of his arm. The bundle squirms, just very slightly. Agnes stops walking and ignoring the yank of the collar around her throat. The curse of Juniper stumbles on her bad leg. The crowd shifts and someone steps aside, and she sees a ruby glint of hair, a tiny pink fist raised high. Her heart is held there safe. It's Eve. The nurses and the nuns at the Home for Lost Angels must not have noticed yet that they're tending to a lump of clay. The spell will crack and fade in another few hours, but by then it will be too late. She and Eve will be free among the stars. Someone hauls their chain forward. The collar feels light as lace around her neck now, and St. George's Square has been transformed into a scene from a cheap play. The scaffold stands over George's plinth, built from wood so green that it weeps around every nail-head. A stake points up from it like an accusing finger, piled deep with pine and white oak, glistening with lamp oil. A second scaffold stands upwind of the first, filled with ranks of grave-faced men in judges' robes and inquisitors' armor. Grace Wiggin is the only woman among them, her white sash crossed neatly between her breast, her expression fixed and vacant. Agnes stares up at Wiggin as they pass, willing her to look down and see her own dark reflection there. She's a woman, bound and bridled, stripped of her words and her ways. Wiggins doesn't look down, but a thin line appears between her brows. A man in stained gray suit stands at the base of the steps with a lit torch held high. The sight of it, the greasy coil of smoke, the aged iron, makes Agnes feel unmoored in time, as if she's drifted out of the world of trolleys and elections and into some murkier era of castles and knights and midnight bonfires. Her feet are numb on the steps. The stake nestles between the winged bones of her back. A pair of men wrap cold chains around their waists, pinching tight, while others unlock their bridles and shackles and leave only their collars. Witches always went to God with their tongues free to repent, with their hands free to pray. Agnes does not intend to do either. It seems to her, as she stands beside her sisters, that it was always going to end like this, the three of them back to back, besieged on all sides, the wayward sisters burned and bound. It seems to her it's happened this way before, and it will happen again until there are no more witches left to burn, or no men left to burn them. The crowd blurs and sways for her. She catches ripples of motion, the scarlet flash of August's scarf as he shoulders through the tight press watchers, circling the scaffold, the dark flutter of Cleo's skirt as she edges closer, but then everything is obscured by a man in a suit the color of old honeysuckle. Gideon Hill's shadow oozes 2 steps behind him, lazy and full-bellied. It stretches its arms high and spills over the platform's edge, down into the crowd, twisting around ankles and slinking up skirts. His dog trembles beside him, eyes huge in its thin skull. "Last chance for a confession, ladies." He addresses all 3 of them, but his eyes linger only on Juniper. None of them answer, and Agnes can sense her sisters through the cold iron around her throat, but she feels wound tight, tension in the press of their shoulders against hers. Hill steps closer to Juniper and says quietly, "Repent. Forgiveness is still possible." His voice is urgent, almost desperate as he says this, and Juniper smiles at him. "No," she says, "it isn't." His jaw tightens. He turns away in a swirl of cream cloak. His dog lingers a step behind him, looking mournfully at the eastwards, until Juniper rasps, "It's all right, girl, just a little longer," and it creeps after its master. Agnes feels the dull thud of boots and paws down the scaffold steps, the saw blade buzz of the crowd. Stars appear overhead, dim and distant through the blaze of torchlight. Hill takes his place in the balcony across from them. He tucks Miss Wiggins' hand beneath his arm, and she gazes up at him with such vacuous rapture that Agnes's stomach turns. At least their daddy never forced them to love him. At least he never took their their selves or their souls away. "You're smiling. You're having a good sleep now, huh?" She wonders if Grace hates him, somewhere deep down in her china doll body. Hill surveys the gathered citizens, face severe and mournful. Agnes thinks he might make another speech about morality and Satan and modernity, but he doesn't. Instead, he lets his gaze rest on the torchbearer below him. He nods once, and a hideous hush falls over the square. The torch hisses and snaps. A baby wails somewhere in the crowd. Agnes's thoughts run in dizzy circles. A wise woman keeps her burning on the inside. "Sorry, Mags." "Hurry up, Agnes." Sorry, August, not Agnes. "Hurry up, August." Bella's voice comes soft and calm from the other side of the stake, as if she's sitting behind a collections desk rather than staked in City Square. "I translated that inscription, by the way, the one on the door, Maleficae quodum maleficae futuri." She ignores Juniper's soft murmur. "Jesus, Belle." "Well, in English, it's witches once and witches in the future." "Yeah, and what does that mean?" Agnes asks. I think it means witches will return one day, no matter how many of us they burn." Agnes could hear the smile in Bella's voice. It's sharp and secret. I think it means us. All of us." Then the torches burn on the pyre, and the flame licks like a tiger's claw into the sky, and the Eastwood sisters are burning. Agnes Amaranth has burned once before. She's familiar with the glass shard of stinging smoke in her eyes, and the way heat rolls up her body in waves, lifting her hair from her shoulders and singeing the ends, the way her own tears whisper into the steam on her cheeks. The first time, Agnes saved herself. She poured a circle of creek water around her and her sisters, and she said the words, and the heat vanished. She and her sisters stood perfectly still as the fire licked and twined around them, as if it was newly tamed and a wolf that might still bite. This time, it's August Lee who saves them. She sees his face through the honey-eyed glaze of the flames, eyes fixed, lips moving, arms tight around Eve. The silver flask lies dripping on the cobbles, its contents scattered in a wide circle around the scaffold. Agnes can see the shine of sweat slicking August's forehead and the tense set of his shoulders, as if he's braced beneath some immense weight. All witching takes will, really, and he will not let her burn. The scaffold hisses and pops beneath her feet, and the flames snap high into the sky. Yeah? What are you doing with your hand? You want your hand up here? Is that better? Okay. Okay. Where were we? The scaffold hisses and pops beneath her feet, and the flames snap high into the night sky, but they don't seem to touch her, as if her skin is coated in armor made of running water. Only her collar feels hot, warming at the presence of magic. It throbs against her throat. The crowd howls and moans and cheers around August. Their cheeks are flushed, their eyes are glowing red, their shadows have merged into single creature behind them, hydra-headed and many-limbed, exultant. Hill looks down on them with no expression at all, as if they are nothing to him but hollow puppets. When he looks back up at the Eastwoods, there are flames dancing red in his eyes, perhaps a trace of grief, but also a vast relief that this threat to his endless weary life has finally laid to rest. But soon his relief will flicker, soon his brow will furrow. He has burned many, many women over the centuries, and surely all of them have screamed. The Eastwoods are not screaming. The flames are wrapped like hands around them, tearing at their white wool dresses. Their chains are glowing red hot, but their skin is whole. It's smooth and unblistered. And soon Gideon Hill will notice that his witches are not burning, but they are ready. They need just a little more time. Sorry, they aren't ready. They need just a little more time. Ooh, important difference. Agnes takes a deep breath that should sear her lungs, but it doesn't. She tastes the cinders and the ash, and August's switching is on her tongue. She thinks of Eve bundled tightly in his arms, bathed in the light of her mother's burning, and thinks, listen close, baby girl. And she shouts into the night, clear and taunting and fearless. All right, is it a confession you want? Bella hears her sister's voice, but hardly recognizes it. It booms and cracks, unrestrained, raw with rage. The sound of it thrums somewhere in Bella's bones, a plucked string too low to hear. I confess it freely, Mr. Hill. I am a witch. The jeering crowd falls still at the sound of her voice. They stare up at the flames with wary faces, like hunters who will hear their prey thrashing in the bracken woundedness, but is still dangerous. Gideon Hill stands very still on the balcony now. Bella feels the scaffold shudder beneath her feet, as if someone is climbing it, as if they're attempting something very daring and heroic, without which their entire plan would indeed collapse. Three bless and keep her. I am a witch, Agnes shouts it a second time, louder, flinging her voice into the night. And so will my sisters, and so will my daughter be, and her daughter, and their daughters' daughters. Her voice is roughened at the mention of Eve, as if the collar around her throat has been constricted. Behind them comes the sound of footsteps, and then whispers of words, and the sizzle of salt water spat on hot iron. Their chains cackle with unnatural rust. Their collars boil at the touch of witchcraft. Bella bites her cheek until she tastes blood, but Agnes does not seem to feel her collar at all. Her head tilts back against the stake. Her eyes close. Her voice is strong. And so is every woman who says what she wants or shouldn't want and what she can't have, who fights for her fair share. Every eye is on Agnes transfixed. No one notices the fourth witch standing on the scaffold, singing her song to avert unwanted eyes. No one notices their chains and collars thinning and flaking, turning brittle as old bone. Agnes gives a contemptuous twist of her shoulders, like a woman shrugging off an unwelcome touch, and the chain snaps. She steps forward, feet bare and unburned on the blackened wood, her hair dancing in the flames, and Bella hears the Oh gosh, I'm sorry, honey.
It's funny.
I didn't know it was going to be so much.
It's okay.
I'll deal with it right after this.
That's all good.
Agnes gives a contemptuous twist of her shoulders, like a woman shrugging off an unwelcome touch, and the chain snaps. She steps forward, feet unbare and burned on the blackened wood, hair dangling in the flames, and Bella hears the rushing of several hundred people drawing breath together. Hey, babe.
Yeah.
Can we do that after book club?
Okay.
It's just loud, sorry. She's surprised to feel a pang of pity for them. They thought that they were the kind of story where wicked witches were caught and burned at the end, where all the little children were tucked safely into bed with the smell of smoke in their hair. It must be upsetting to discover themselves in the kind of story where witches make friends with the flames instead of burning, where they snap their chains and laugh at the stars with sharp teeth. Agnes lifts her arm and the fire wraps around her naked flesh like golden armor. She points at Gideon Hill, where he watches from the balcony, his face twisted, his mouth half open to snarl orders to his inquisitors over the wild barking of his dog. Grace Wiggins still clings to his arm, looking at Agnes with horror, but there's a sliver of brightness in her eyes, as if a small and treacherous part of her is glad to see the witches walk out from the flames. Bella's throat is blistering beneath the thinning collar of each rust flake, searing her skin where it falls, and she can't see Cleo standing beside her, but she hears her voice whispering in her ear, "Hold on, love, it's almost done. London Bridge is falling down, falling down." Agnes is still pointing at Hill, but Bella can only see the back of her head. She can sense the vicious, delirious grin on her face. "I'm a witch, Gideon Hill." Her voice is low and dangerous, with a twitch of a cat's tail. Babe,
Yes.
can we do that after book club? What is it?
Oh, license plates.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Sorry.
That's okay. "I am a witch, Gideon Hill." Her voice is low and dangerous, the twitch of a cat's tail right before it pounces, the final circle of an osprey before the plunge. "And so are you." Ooh. Okay, so in case it wasn't clear what's going on, I'm pretty sure that Cleo is the fourth witch up on the pyre, and they're about to call out Gideon Hill in front of everyone. As she says it, several things happen one after another, like playing cards in a collapsing house. Their witch collars fall away from their necks, reduced to nothing but rust and malice. Bella can sense her sister's soul singing loud through the binding between them, and the magic seething again on the other side of everything. An owl and an osprey appear in the smoke-hung sky, black as spades or hearts, and the first true screams ring through the square. Gideon Hill shouts orders. White and red inquisitors surge toward the scaffold, just as most of the crowd scrambles away. They clash into one another without noticing the knots of people who aren't moving at all, who are standing like stones or sentinels, watching the fire. They're waiting. Bella stumbles away from the stake and sags into Miss Cleo Quinn's arms. "What happened to your ring, woman?" Cleo murmurs into Bella's hair. "I let you out of my sight for just 10 minutes. It's your fault, really, for letting me out of your sight." "I don't make the same mistake twice." Cleo's hand finds hers and holds so tightly to her knuckle bones that they creak. Juniper's limbs are free of fire. She raises her arms high and laughs. It's a raucous, devilish laugh, the laugh of a crow as it raids the cornfield, the trickster as she weaves her web. Bella catches the wild edge of her smile as she looks out at the crowd. "I believe my cue is coming, love," Bella whispers. "Did you bring the wandwood?" Cleo presses a thin strip of holly into her palm, just as Juniper shouts a single word, "Hemlock." Bella steps forward between her sisters as the crowd answers Juniper's command. She watches 100 women reach into 100 pockets and satchels and baskets to withdraw 100 hats in black muslin and gray velvet, dark silk and ragged lace. Their arms arc upward as every witch in the city of New Salem dons a tall, pointed hat and whispers the words. Skirts and cloaks cascade over their bodies from nowhere, fine gowns of draping chiffon and cotton day dresses with their sleeves ripped away black cloaks with long trains of feathers and evening gowns trimmed in dark mink. Some of them were sewn by Sisters of Avalon, and some of them were dug out of cedar chests and wardrobes for such an occasion. Some of them aren't true black, but they're navy blue or lake bottom green, but in the fickle light of the stars and the flames, that hardly matters. The crowd sees women in tall hats and dark dresses and knows exactly what they are. 1 witch you can laugh at, 3 you can burn. But what do you do with 100 witches? Most people run, it turns out. Hill isn't running, though. He's standing on the balcony, shouting orders to his inquisitors. He gathers fistful of shadows and tugs at them like puppets on strings or fishing lines. Half of the crowd lurches to a halt, swaying, blinking, too weak to rest free of his will. Perhaps his puppets might have stood their ground and overcome the witches of New Salem. Oh, hey, someone got a birth certificate. You got a birth certificate. It's you. Half of the crowd lurches to a halt, swaying and blinking, too weak to rest free of his will. Perhaps his puppets might have stood their ground and overcome the witches of New Salem, but no. Bella touches her holly wand to the torch and lifts it high above her head. The crowd below does the same, withdrawing thin strips of oak and applewood, birch and blackthorn. The women who have no matches borrow heat from one another, or someone who does, touching their wand tips to one another. And Bella speaks the spell without a trace of stutter. Hundreds of voices then echo her. Queen Anne, you sit in the sun. Simple, small words a woman might sing as she peers into a sewing box on a winter's night. Words about driving back the darkness, about sunlight piercing shadows. As fair as a lily, as white as a wand. Each wand below her casts its own particular light, from the palest dawn to the bloodiest sunset. Silver moons shine and golden candle flames. The lights meet and merge, joining to form a wave of noon-bright sun. The shadow flees before the witch light, unwinding from ankles and tearing free from skirt hems to run unclean water over the cobblestones. They pool around Hill, a writhing darkness that hisses and spits like oil in the pan. The spell grows brighter, the shadows shrink until they're the size of a single person standing tall, and then a wizened old man, and then a child, and then nothing at all. Gideon Hill stands shadowless and exposed, bathed in sunlight, his dog baring its teeth at the sky in a snarl or a smile. A ripple moves through the crowd, and Bella sees faces upturned, squinting at the witch light, and watering eyes, half-open mouths. Their shadows curl meekly beneath them, once more tame and ordinary. You can't help yourself.
What?
I can hear it.
Oh, this is loud?
Yeah. It's because you have headphones on, you can't hear it.
Putting something in plastic?
Yeah.
I'm like 3/4 of the way.
It's okay, go ahead and finish it.
I'm taking care of things for our daughter right away.
I know. It's just funny, it goes like crinkle, 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 crinkle. But you have headphones on, so you can't hear it.
Mesophilia, whatever the heck.
What?
Do you have mesophilia, or whatever it's called, where you don't like small sounds?
Oh no, it's just that the camera picks it up, so it goes over the reading.
I'm going in the other room for the last one.
Okay. Where were we? Let's see. Where were we? Okay. Gideon Hill stands shadowless and exposed, bathed in sunlight, his dog baring its teeth at the sky, or a snarl, or perhaps it's a smile. A ripple moves through the crowd, and Bella sees the faces upturned, squinting at the witch light with watering eyes and half-open mouths. Their shadows curl meekly beneath them once more, tame and ordinary. If the spell ends now, she thinks most of them would be happy to stumble home, haunted by the memory of hate that wasn't their own. But the spell doesn't end there. Queen Anne, the witches didn't stop chanting when Hill's shadow vanished. The sunlight is now blinding hot, boiling down on black wool and autumn cloaks. and the spell itself is becoming something more than itself, something that swallows lies and sheds truth. Gideon Hill begins to change. That flat blonde of his hair darkens to matte black. The chin sharpens. The flesh recedes to reveal thin, hungry frame. This must be his true soul showing through his stolen body, and Bella is surprised by how young and desperate it seems. The dog beside him changes too. Her master's illusion is burning away. Her legs and her jaw lengthen. Her fur ruffles and her ears stand up, a lean wolf with black fur and boiling red eyes. The crowd is frozen, staring up at the Savior, their light against the dark, their would-be saint. The word witch rustles through them, and Bella lowers her wand with dizzy, savage glee pulsing in her temples. At least if they fail now, the truth will still be told. The man who spent centuries twisting history, tending and telling false tales, will still be laid bare for everyone to see. Their daddy died a good man in the eyes of the world, but Gideon Hill will die a villain. Bella turns to Juniper, who's watching Gideon Hill with a strange expression on her face, nearly mournful. All right, your turn, June. Juniper's watching the boy on the balcony, the vicious, frightened boy who should have died a very long time ago, when her sister tells her that it's her turn. Cleopatra Quinn presses two things into her hands, a black yew staff and a long, curved pair of teeth. Juniper leaps from the scaffold with her scorched and tattered dress flapping like burnt wings behind her. She lands barefoot and cobbled, She lands barefoot and cobbled, her bad foot curling beneath her, her knees crackling against the stone. The teeth bite deep into her palm, and blood pools in her hand. She remains crouched and buffeted by the panicked crowd. She slicks her blood along the black-hued staff and whispers the words for the third time in her life. May sticks and stones break your bones, and serpents stop your heart. Vicious venom words that burn her throat and scorch her tongue, words that require furious will behind them. Juniper has always had a brimming cup of hate inside of her, a well of rage that never runs dry, but it seems to her now that she has to reach deeper to find what she needs, that perhaps her well is not so bottomless after all. Still, she thinks of Eve, of the three and all of those poor people dying in the cots of Charity Hospital, and she finds the will that she requires. The staff twists in her hand, the wood grain is replaced with smooth scales, and the carved snake suddenly warms against her palm. It looks back at her once with its glass eyes, and she nods to it. Go. Juniper struggles to her feet as the snake slides unseen through the trampling feet. Gideon Hill is leaning over the platform railing, glaring into the crowd below, searching. His eyes find her, and the stillness falls over him. His face is familiar to her. It's the face she saw in every mirror, every window pane she passed for years. It's the face of a broken and betrayed child, holding on to hate because they have nothing else. What would it be like to remain that broken child for centuries, all alone? The black-hued snake is coiling up the platform timbers now, sliding nearer. Gideon is too busy staring at Juniper to see his own death creeping closer. But Juniper's will is wavering. The snake is near enough to strike, but it coils around itself, poised, waiting. Saint knows he deserved it. So did her daddy twice over. But she spared his life that day in the barn. She let him live 7 more years, until he wore away every ounce of grace and goodness that she had left. She didn't hesitate the second time, though. She spent the summer running, haunted and haunting, looking for some place to put all that leftover hate that was in her heart. And maybe she's come to the end of it, finally. Maybe she's weary of vengeance earned and struck, of sacrifice and sin too high a price. She feels the serpent hardening back to black wood, its venom seeping away from her. Above her, Gideon Hill sees the weakness in her face. His eyes are glittered in the triumph. Juniper knows with cold certainty that he won't hesitate, that he will pay any price to merely live and keep living. Gideon Hill sees her and smiles at what he sees. What he doesn't see is the woman standing beside him on the balcony, her shadow lying at her feet where it belongs. Finally, her own will has become hers once more. It's Grace Wiggin. I don't think so. I think they're just using a metaphor between them. But Grace is next to him on the what do you call it? Okay, here we go. As I lay dying upon the earth, I raised my hands to her, but she would not even closer close my lips nor my eyes. A spell for final regret, requiring a betrayal most bitter. Agnes Amaranth sees her. Agnes stands at the edge of the scaffold with her back turned toward her own pyre. She sees Gideon's shadow banished upon her broken power. She sees Miss Grace Wiggins slip away from him like a kite with a cut string. At first, her face remains cool and empty, but then the truth comes boiling to the surface. Confusion first, then revulsion, as if she wants to peel her own flesh away from her body, and then rage, pure and foreign, white-hot, toothed and fanged, entirely foreign looks on Miss Wiggins' docile features. She turns to face the man who took her in and then took her will, the father who cursed his own daughter. She then looks in that moment less like a woman and more like a harpy, like the end of a long overdue and reckless reckoning in a white dress. Agnes figures Gideon Hill has always chosen his victims with care, small and strange, lonely and weak, old women who lived in the woods, young women who had wayward hearts, his own dreamy, bookish nephew. He burned them and blamed them and ate them whole and spat them out, never once worried that one of them would sprout from the seeds behind him and bear poisonous fruit, that even weak can make powerful enemies, if there are enough of them. A red light is glowing now in Wiggins's eyes. Her fingers are clutched at her skirt, searching for some weapon or some way and finding none. And then her hands land on the pale sash that runs from hip to shoulder. She strokes the neat stitched lettering, slowly, almost wondering, before pulling the sash over her head. She holds the white silk like a sword laid across her palms. Women are good at making their own ways when they have none. Hill doesn't see it coming, and even if he had seen it coming, if he had turned and saw the sash between Wiggins's hands, the rage in her face, Agnes doubts that he would have believed it until it was too late, and Wiggins throws the sash over his head and settles it gently across his throat. Before he can tear it away, before he can even cast an irritable glance downward, it twists tight around his neck. Saints save us! It's Bella, staring at Hill with her hands covering her mouth, and Cleo draws air through her teeth. But don't save him. Below them, Juniper's looking back up at Hill and Wiggins with her mouth open. Her black hued staff is gone, but Agnes doesn't see a serpent anywhere. One of the inquisitors is on the balcony and has noticed that the head of the Women's Christians Association is strangling the mayor. He apparently objects. Even if the mayor is no longer looking quite as he should, he still strides forward. No, Agnes shouts, but it's useless now. It's hopeless. Gideon's dog, now tall and red-eyed, is no longer a dog at all, but a wolf with an iron collar around her throat. She turns on the inquisitor. Her teeth snap inches from his flesh, hackles high. Her collar glows a punishing orange, but she does not back down. More inquisitors join the first. Before they can knock the wolf aside, a dark streak of feathers strikes, talons first. Pan joins the wolf, followed by Strix. 3 familiars keep shouting at the men and keep them bay with teeth and claws and burning eyes, and behind them, Wiggins's sash tightens across Gideon Hill's throat. The wolf howls in agony, or maybe in triumph. Hill's face goes from white to red to mauve, darkening to a bruise. Bloated color, oops. Oh dear. Bloated like the color of meat gone bad. His lips are foam speckled and bitten and still moving in some final futile spell. His legs kick weaker and weaker. His honeysuckle suit is stained with spittle and piss. His wolf staggers. All his malice and might, all his centuries of learning and death came for him just the same. Agnes intends to watch until the very end, until his legs quit kicking and his heart quits beating. But someone shouts her name. Agnes Amaranth! She ignores it, but a baby cries, and Agnes knows that cry. It's written on her heart, carved into her bones. It echoes into her dreams, haunting her. She turns away from her cold triumph to see August Lee climbing the scaffold steps with her name on his lips and her daughter cradled against his chest. Agnes isn't aware of the reaching for her until she feels the rightness of Eve's weight against her arms, and she hears the endless nonsense and the stream of her own voice. Baby girl, little love, it's all right. Mama's here. I got you. Her ribs ache as if something feathered is trying to escape them like vast wings. She smells sawdust and feels the careful weight of arms around her, and she leans her cheek against August's chest. The arms are settled. His skin is still warm with witching. In the hollow between them, she looks down to her daughter's solemn eyes, shining with stars and flames, the beginning of 10,000 stories. Once there was a girl who was stolen and won back. Once there was a girl who was raised by 3 witches. Once there was a girl who rose like a phoenix from her mother's ashes and winged into the light of a new world. August releases her and presses a smooth branch into her palm. Rowanwood, just like you asked. It smells raw and green and cool against the burning air. Me and my boys will keep the crowd back. Agnes looks up at him, this man who loves all of her, this knight who has gotten his tails crossed and fallen in love with a witch instead of a princess. Here he stands with her at the end, ash-streaked and sweating. It seems perfectly clear to her what comes next in this story. She kisses him. Despite the screaming crowd and the too close lick of the flames, despite the bruised sting of her lips and the startled blue of his eyes, his palms rise uncertain, hovering above the line of her jaw. His lips are hesitant against hers, and Agnes presses harder, teeth against skin, reminding him what she is. He burns back at her, all want, all heat, fingers tangling in her hair. It ends too soon, though. It's not a kiss so much as a promise. Hope translated into flesh. She releases his collar, and August touches his bitten lips with the expression of a person who has suffered a religious revelation or a recent head injury. Agnes. His voice is pleasingly hoarse, and she meets his eyes and lifts her chin, a challenge. Come find me, August Lee, when it's all over. He touches his hand to her heart, and she knows that he will find her. She trusts it, body and blood. And Agnes grips her Rowanwood broomstick in one hand and reaches for her sister with the other. Bella's fingers catch tight around hers. Where's June? There's still banishing work to do. Agnes sees her, and Juniper stands still in the crowd below, looking up at Grace Wiggin as she's finally dragged away, bitten and bleeding, inquisitors at her feet. Gideon Hill lies dead. His wolf has curled beside him. Her slender nose is on his chest, and her eyes are closed. And Juniper's shout of triumph or glee, or at least it should be a grimly satisfied sound, but instead she's perfectly still. There's a bloodless terror in her face that makes the hair on Agnes's arms prickle. She has seen her sisters raging and weeping, laughing and lying at 100 other things, but she's never seen her sister afraid. Juniper knows what a man looks like when he dies. He looks sick and scared and finally sorry, like a skin-flint villager when the piper comes to collect. He looks impotent and weak, unlikely to ever hurt you again. But Gideon Hill doesn't look like that. His face is bruised black, and his eyes are wet rubies, blood-streaked, and his expression at the end is very placid, almost bored. Just before the end, his eyes meet Juniper's, as the crowd wails and panics around them, as Wiggins' fingers go white around the sash. Her face is lit with that wild, killing hate, and she smiles. His fist dangles over the raw wood edge of the balcony. His fingers are slack as he dies. A bright ribbon flutters free. A single curl of hair, a soft feather falls down, red as blood. was wild. That was a wild chapter. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was certainly something, huh? That was certainly something. Yeah. Well, my goodness. That was an intense chapter, if ever there was one. I thought they were going to burn Gideon Hill at the stake, but Grace Wiggins got in there and strangled him instead. Weird. Yeah, super weird, sleepy girl. All right. Well, hopefully I'll be able to do a slime live later. We will try for this afternoon, and I will see you all there. Probably sometime in the later afternoon, like in the 4:30, 5 o'clock range. Yeah, I mean, go Grace for sure. What percentage are we at? That's a good question. Let's look. Let's look. We are 91%. We might finish it tomorrow. We're gonna be at chapter 42 tomorrow. So I will see you all later for slime. And yes, I will. I will let him open the mail now. Yes. Speaking of Grace, how's our face? She's good. Someone should I'll message her. I have her email and everything. I know she's been working really hard, but her, I think like whatever project she's been working on ends in the spring. So hopefully she'll be able to come back soon and hang with us. Right? Yeah. Okay. I'll see you all later. Bye, guys.